Hi everyone, this is Marty McDermott from Franchise Interviews, and welcome to Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. You know, Don and I have been hosting Franchise Interviews now for the last half, and in that time we've done about 8 shows. We've interviewed some of the top franchisors, franchisees, franchise experts in the country, and it's just been an incredible experience. Each show, Don and I have learned something, and there's usually typically 2 or 3 learning lessons from each radio program. The podcast that you're going to get to hear today, or the great quote in franchising, is from Dan Castellini, and you're also going to get to hear from John Hewitt, who is also the founder of Liberty Tax Service, and he talks about his most successful franchisees. But listen to what Dan says as far as taking a self-assessment and typically the people who become the most successful franchisees. I really thought it was a great learning lesson. So here we go.
The picture in it, we don't even know about it. Next thing we see our picture, a Lady Liberty featured in the USA Today or somewhere in the country, where we didn't even do anything except do our jobs and put our Lady Liberties out.
That's great. Now the Lady Liberty, was that your idea, John, or was that yours, Dan?
Dan can't, I asked Dan, and remember, I already said he's one of the best 10 or 20 ever in out of 3,000. So I built him up, and this is not a slam to Dan at all. But I often ask my top people just to make other people understand. They said, Dan, what did you create? What did you invent when you've been here? You've been here 4 seasons. What did you do different? And he said, really, the top people say, you know what, I followed the plan, and I think Dan can confirm that.
That's the best franchisee, John. That's what Marty and I speak about a lot. A lot of our experts we've had on, trying to recruit people who don't want to reinvent the wheel, just follow the system and work hard and have that passion. In most franchises, you got to be a people person, and you're gonna be successful. Is the bottom line.
Absolutely. Dan's comment. How do you feel about that?
No, absolutely. I think that it went back when I was looking, deciding if franchising was right for me. That's the first thing I determined was, you know what, I don't want to invent anything. I'm not creative. Just give me a plan that I can execute. Of course, then you go in search of that plan, and that's exactly what Liberty has. And to succeed, you guys hit the nail on the head. It's simply, have that personal drive, and then the ability to listen and execute the plan that you signed up to follow.
Right. Getting solid training.
I love that quote from Dan Castellini, how he says, he took a real honest self-assessment. He says, you know what, I'm not a creative person. I don't want to invent anything. And again, I just want to follow the system. And again, typically, this is what we found to be the most successful franchisee, somebody who is just willing to follow the system. So again, this is our first great quote in franchising and our first podcast, so it's kind of historic. So we'd love to hear your feedback as we get into the whole world of podcasting now. We think this is going to be a great additional service to our listeners because, again, our shows are very detailed. They're typically, as you know, for our listeners, 60 minutes in length. So what Don and I would like to do is kind of highlight some great quotes from each show. So if you don't have 60 minutes to hear the show, you can go and listen to the podcast and listen to some highlights or some great learning lessons in franchising. So we hope you enjoy this one. Again, we'd love to hear your feedback, and thanks for listening, and we'll see you again soon with another great quote in franchising from Franchise Interviews. Take care, everyone.